Hi, I am so excited, you guys. You just don't really know how excited I am to introduce to you my next guest. And she is from Chicago, and really, she is totally amazing. And her journey and her story is one of intrigue and also of inspiration. And I would like to welcome to the show, Felicia Gladney.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is my pleasure. So, Felicia, tell me a little bit about your past. Where are you from? Where do you hail from?
Yes, I am born and raised on the west side of Chicago, West Side.
West Side?
West
Yes.
Side. Yeah, so
Yeah.
originated from there. Born into a family of 7 siblings, myself being the baby. I am the youngest of 7 siblings. So
Wow.
imagine that.
Yes. Yes. That's a big family.
Yes. Yes. And so pretty much from there, if we're going all the way back into my childhood, was pretty much a quiet girl. Pretty much stayed up under my mom. I was a baby. So I pretty much, wherever my mom went, I went.
Mm.
And so I just enjoyed life as far as the nature, seeing things from that aspect of it. But in also another sense, I would say I also endured my own struggles,
Right.
being a child and witnessing and seeing things that most kids shouldn't have seen when they were young. But everyone is able to endure and everyone is able to overcome. So I was really excited that God brought me out of some of my struggles that I will share with more into this segment.
Okay, that's amazing right there so far. Um, could you tell me, I know you have two books out there.
Yes.
Could you tell me a little bit about when you first knew that you were going to write? Were you like 12? Were you a high schooler? What? When did you know that you had this gift to write?
Yeah. So for me, it started when I was in high school. I used to write poetry. And for me, the poetry was more so about different things that I had witnessed and things that I had been through. And so it started out for me in high school. It was just more like poetic and journaling and writing poetry of that nature. And then as I went on into like high school and college, I began to write papers and I was like, my gosh, I'm a really good writer and I liked to tell stories. I like
Right.
the way it would make myself feel, just reading it. And then how my teachers would read it. And then they would give me good feedback about how I was an excellent writer. So I think it all started when I was pretty much in high school, when I started doing journaling and poetry.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. So you
Mm-hmm.
you always knew that you had this talent and this gift.
Yes, I did. And I've always loved writing,
Mhm.
I've always loved reading. Like I was pretty much called like a nerd, because I
Right.
always read books. I was that girl that really didn't go out and, fly and spread my wings. No, I was trying to keep it safe and stay
Right.
inside. But,
Right.
I did the things that most kids wouldn't pretty much do was just stay in the house and read and, watch
Yeah.
TV and things like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I want to ask you, I want to get into this because y'all are in for a treat. I want to get into your first book. Tell me the title of your first book, the inspiration, and what that book is about.
Okay. So my first book is called My Pain, Your Healing. And it took me pretty much about 10 years to write that book. And I say 10 years because, excuse me, I was still struggling with some of the things that I had dealt with. I wasn't really sure that I wanted to, excuse me, I wasn't sure that I wanted to expose everything that I had been through because I didn't know how people were going to look at me. But as time went on, I continued to talk to so many different women who would share their testimonies, and they had similar testimonies to mine. And me just being an ordinary person, like, girl, you should tell your story. But at the same time, I wouldn't even share my own story. And so they would often tell me, like, well, that's too personal. People are going to judge me, or people are going to say this, and people are going to say that. I don't feel comfortable sharing. And so one day the Lord told me, He said, write the book, share your story. And so I'm like, okay, well, God, I don't know what to call it. What should I say?
Mhm.
And the title, My Pain, Your Healing, presented itself. And I was like, wow, that's a powerful title. And when I thought about it, I was like, wow, if I'm able to share my pain and my story, maybe it would inspire other women to share their testimony. And so that's how the title, My Pain, Your Healing, came about.
That's amazing. Tell
Yeah.
me a little bit more about the book. Can you go into a little bit more of the book and what's in the book?
Yeah, so this book really touches on a lot of personal things that I encountered, from molestation, from abuse, from depression, anxiety. It touches on all of that. And so when I was a little girl, and I can go back, every household has its own issues, its own demons. And so I grew up in a very household where I witnessed my father be abusive to my mother. And so as a little girl, there were times that I would sit under the table, I would cry and just listen to my mom scream. And that was very horrifying and very hard to witness as a kid.
Yeah.
And so I talk a little bit about that because that was my first instinct where I began to not trust men. And so I didn't realize that the root had started with my own father. And so as time went on, I began to have my own struggles and my own challenges in my own relationships. And before I go into that, just being a kid myself, there were times that I would miss days from school because I wanted to stay home with my mom to protect her. I thought I was protecting her, but more so just kind of being there to comfort her. And so from there, I became more isolated. And like I said, I pretty much stayed in the house and stayed to myself. And so it was hard. I started to take on some of the pain that my mother was feeling, not realizing that I was taking on her pain, but I felt for her. I wanted to help her. But as a kid, I couldn't do that. I didn't know what to do or what to say. All I can do was just try to lay on her and hold her. And I remember sitting on the couch at night with her crying and just asking God to help her. I remember that. And so that was one of the first occurrences that I had, just dealing and witnessing abuse, and then going further on into my own life, because I would miss so many days in school, I began to have challenges in school with my studies. And I remember I had this one teacher in third grade. I won't say her name because, just for the sake of,
yes,
anyone
I fully
coming back.
understand.
Yeah. But I remember this lady telling me I would never be in anything. And I remember her calling me dumb.
Oh,
And
wow.
she was a Black teacher. She called me dumb. And I just remember feeling so low and so sad that I just didn't know what to do. So, and because of that, I ended up repeating the third grade over. And so, of course, as a kid, you're like, oh, wow, I got set back. Now I'm feeling low. I'm feeling insecure.
Right.
On top of, witnessing my mom go through everything that she was going through. So I now am taking on my own personal pain as well as dealing with my mother's pain. So it was just a lot to deal with as a kid, to witness and see. And although they have names for it now, but back then, I didn't know what that was called. I didn't know that I was suffering from depression or anything like that. And so that was, like I said, a lot to deal with as a kid.
Yes.
And yeah. And so life continued to go on. Of course, most people just go about their days, their lives, and never think anything about it. But it was around the age of 9 years old. And we used to go over to this one particular uncle's house, and we would have like get-togethers, backyard parties, and different things like that. And there was this one particular man, and even to say his name to this day, I don't know why it still bothers me, but it does. And that's why I say, even though you go through your pain, sometimes you can feel like you're healed, but sometimes you're not, because I don't know, just sitting here talking about him and saying his name, it's triggering like this anger. And I don't even know where that particular person is at to this day, but he began molesting me. And, touching me in areas that, no man should touch a kid.
Right.
And, it was on multiple occasions. And I just remember just feeling so low and so nasty that an adult, somebody whom I trusted, somebody who is in the church, somebody who is a man of God, would do these things to a child.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep. And I remember just feeling this one last time, just being so angry. And I remember him following me into this back porch area of the house. And when he followed me, I just remember trying to get away from him. And I ended up slamming the door in his face to the point where it caused blood, the glass to shatter, and the blood came down his face. And I just remember all the adults came running saying, what's going on? What's going on? And I just remember crying and sharing with my mom everything that he had been doing to me. And we immediately left the house, and we never saw that man again.
That's horrible to have experienced that. And I can see in your face that little girl right now. And I want to tell you that you didn't do anything wrong. You
Yeah.
know, that's what people that are ill, they are sick.
Yeah.
And pedophile, whatever you want to call them, that's what they are when they prey on little children like that. And everything is within me. I feel the same. I can't say I feel the same anger, but I feel that anger because there's so many little girls that I have come into contact with in my life that have a similar story. You
Yeah.
know, that's went through, has gone through something similar to this. And it is so very significantly sad and
Yeah.
disgusting that adults who are supposed to protect children,
Mhm.
supposed to protect us as kids, and to
Yeah.
love us and teach us how to be an adult would prey on you like that and take advantage of your youth for their own selfish pleasure. And that's what
Absolutely.
it is. It's what it is. And it's just sick. And anybody out there that is listening to this story and the pain that she has gone through in her life, and she's come a long way. Just think about that. If you know someone that has experienced something like this, that you know they haven't dealt with it as they should, make sure that you try your very best to get that child, that person, the help that they need, because something like this is significant and only the professionals can help you cope with this and to deal with this. Wouldn't you say that's true?
I do agree. I do
Mhm.
agree. Absolutely.
And that leads me to the next thing I wanted to bring up before you go into your second book. You're working on your PhD.
Yes, ma'am. Woo, Jesus.
That
Listen, I need to do another paper tonight as I speak.
you know what, and you're going to knock it out of the park. Is that a part of why you went into this, that you're working on your PhD? Because I know you have a background in psychology, you have a degree in psychology, right? And you have a
Yes.
master's in what?
Addictions counseling.
Addictions counseling. And so, wow, it's like your whole life. It's like, okay, I've been through this. Let me turn it around and help in any way that I can professionally. I take my hat off to you. That
Oh,
is
thank you.
amazing. You know, and a PhD, that's not a walk in the park.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. By the grace of God, that's the only thing that's keeping me right now. Because I promise you, whoo, there's some days I'm like pulling my hair, pulling these crochets out.
Exactly. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
And I can see where your path has taken you from that tragedy, going through all of that, into the adult that you are now. And I see a beautiful, intelligent, hardworking woman in front of me right now. And
Thank
I
you.
admire you that you have turned that around in such a way, and in such a significant way, that you want to be a servant of people to help them out.
Yeah.
And I wish you well on that. And I know you're going to knock that out of the park. When do you
Yes,
think you're
ma'am.
going to be done?
I'm hoping 23, 24 around that time. It just
Okay.
depends on, yeah, it just depends. So I'm really
Yeah.
hoping so. But, when I think back to your question about, just everything that I've done, I have
Mhm.
always been a person who wanted to help people. And so when you think about someone who studies psychology or
Right.
someone who studied addictions counseling, and one of the reasons why I went into addictions counseling, because I observed my father who was an alcoholic. I observed
Exactly.
family members. So I've always wanted to be that person to help, as I mentioned earlier, trying to help
Yes.
my mother as a little girl, even though I couldn't. And so I've
Yes.
always had a passion and helping people. And now my passion has grown more so in trying to help teens, working
Right.
in the field that I work in social services. I see so many young girls dealing with insecurity, depression, anxiety. And last year's 2020 pandemic really brought about so many kids who were dealing with mental health issues. I can't even account the number of cases that I've had where kids had to be hospitalized. And so it's so much bigger than us. It's so much bigger than social media. These kids are struggling from what
Yeah.
we had to really deal with. And I'm not negating the things that I've gone through,
Exactly.
because I had a different way of processing things. But these kids, they can't. Social media
Mhm.
is so driven in their minds that they
Mhm.
feel like that's reality. And it's trying to help them understand, no, that's not reality. People are putting stuff on social media just for fun, just for likes
Right.
and followers. And they got to
Right.
understand that's not your life. talk to somebody. If you won't talk to me, find a good friend or family member that you can talk to. But mental health is so, so huge right now. And that's one of the things that I didn't mention to you prior to our pre-interview is I'm hosting a teens conference April 23rd next year. And we're going to focus on mental health.
Awesome. Do you still think that there's a significant stigma in the Black community when it comes to mental health?
Yes. A lot of people in our culture in the Black community, they don't believe in therapy. I mean, that is the biggest setback that we have with so many clients that I deal with on a daily basis. And I don't think it's that they think that it's not going to help them. I just think it's a lack of knowledge, and people feel what they see on television. Oh, I'm going to talk to a shrink, or I'm going to talk to someone, you think I'm crazy. And it's not that. Talking to someone helps you process what it is that you're dealing with, to see things in a different view, to see things in a different light. So I do feel that.
Oh, that's crazy, because my heart just bleeds for these kids. And then in the Black community, again, with this stigma. And, I thought that in 2021 that we had made significant strides in terms of where families are realizing that mental health is an issue and it is real. And so many Black families and brown families and any family actually have gone through so much in their lives. And it's not a simple thing, but it's just so there. Counseling is just there. It's readily available to you and to your families. And I see the pain, I see the hurt in men and young women. I see it. And you look at them and they've been traumatized in some manner, in some way, when they were younger, or as young adults, or even as adults. Trauma doesn't always occur when you're a child and you have to live through it and process it and become better. It happens at any time in your life. Exactly. And mental health is there to help people. And I wish that I could do more myself to get the word out there and to empower people and to let them know it's okay. There's nothing negative about seeking help when you need it.
Yeah. Well, you are. I think what you're doing now, I think what you're doing now, Linda, you're opening this platform for people to be able to share their stories, such as me, and to be able to reach so many people. So you are, although you may feel like you're not, but you don't know who's going to see this segment. You don't know who's going to reach out and say, hey, I saw your segment. So don't discredit what you're doing, because God has given you an awesome place to be able to help people. And this is ministry. This is your ministry. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of your show, to be able to express myself and reach others that may be listening.
That is so awesome for you to say that. And thank you so much, because I've always felt like that I had something to do. I had something to say. I had something to share. I need to empower and provide a platform so that people can. And thank you for saying that, because that's exactly how I feel. Like in a sense, this is my ministry and this is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm supposed to do moving forward. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Girl, all right.
3 snaps for you.
Right. So I want you to tell me a little bit about your second book, the title. And so it's out as well, correct?
Yes. All of my books can be found on Amazon.com. And so the second book is called The Struggles of a Woman. And although it's not similar to my first book, but it is still dealing with issues, this one is more so that a lot of women go through. A lot of women deal with anxiety. A lot of women deal with depression. A lot of women deal with abusive relationships, whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual. There is so many women who are going through so much in life. And because women, we tend to put on so many hats. We tend to carry this facade like everything is okay. But on the inside, women are crying and hurting. But you can't really say that, because, you can't have anxiety, Felicia, because you're a Black intelligent woman. And literally this was my ignorance, because when I was first told that I was suffering from anxiety, I was like, oh no, Black people don't have anxiety. Like I literally laughed at the doctor. I'm like, no, I don't have anxiety. I don't know what you're talking about. But the palpitations kept coming, the fears and everything that was happening in my body, I didn't know was equated to anxiety attacks. And so again, a lack of knowledge, didn't know, but it's just so much out there that we have to understand that you got to get help. You have to talk to somebody.
Yes, you
And
do.
although you are a woman and you're a mother, you're a wife, you're an auntie, whatever it may be, get some help, talk to somebody. And then it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, you know what, not today, devil. I'm just not going to deal with that. You know, you got to
Right.
protect your own sanity. You have to protect who you are as the person, because at the end of the day, if you were to die, what do you think is going to happen? The world is going to continue to move on.
Oh, it sure is. It sure is, with or
It
without
will.
you.
It will.
It
Right?
will. It's going to keep going on. And so you're so right when you said that, Felicia, because a lot of people, a lot of women feel like, I don't have time to take time for me like that. I'll get a bubble bath or something. There's nothing wrong with that, some me time, but it's more than that, because you women do so much. And we don't really take the time to check in and see, like, wait a minute, there's more going on with me than just a simple bubble bath or a weekend away can conquer or help me with, and you need to realize that you can't be superwoman.
Right.
I mean, we may feel like that we want to be. I mean, I even find myself doing that. I'm doing so much. And sometimes you just have to take the time and realize, I don't have to be superwoman. I don't have to do everything perfect, and so people oftentimes, they get themselves into a situation where they're suffering from anxiety because they're like, oh my God, I don't know why I'm feeling like this, but I got so much to do. That's anxiety. You need to chill. You need to go find out what's really, really going on with you. Indigestion. No, it's it's not indigestion, baby. Really, people, they try to label it like, what, because you want to be this superwoman, because you're this intelligent woman. Oh, I just need to take a day off and I'll be fine. And sometimes that's it. And oftentimes it's not just that.
And one of the things that when I'm talking to ladies, I always say, my biggest thing is being honest. And you have to be honest with yourself, ask yourself those questions. How do I feel today? Because if you're looking for somebody else to look after you and see how you're doing, you're going to be looking for a long time. And so you have to encourage yourself. You have to do those self-checks to say, okay, today is not a good day. I can't do this. Or you know what? I'm going to journal this or put this down for next week and I'll come back to that. You got to realize when enough is enough and too much is too much.
That is amazing. That is so true. You've got to realize it. You've got to realize that that's the operative phrase. You've got to realize when enough is enough and when it's too much.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to write that down. No. But that is so true. You really do have to realize that. You can't just take on the world problems and bear them on your shoulders all the time, because you really, it's more going on than that, and it's more to life than just being superwoman and not taking care of yourself properly. And that's so true. Now, I know you have a lot going on in your life, so how do you balance your life with mom? You're not mom, and you're in school and you're working and you have all these other things going on. How do you balance all that?
I get asked that question all the time. And literally, just like I have for work, I have a to-do list for work. And literally, in my personal life, I have a to-do list and I check things off. Like, I don't put too much on me, but I just check and balance. Okay, did you do this today? Check that off. Okay, nope. By Wednesday, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And that's the only way that I'm able to stay afloat, because if I just put everything together, work life, personal life, I mean, my gosh, I have 3 kids who are very involved. And my oldest daughter, she's a senior this year. So it's like the preparation of financial aid, which I'm working on that now. It's the finding colleges, it's going on college tours, and it's a lot, but
you have a lot on your plate. But I like what you said, find the balance, knowing when you have to stop and doing your checklist. So that helps you stay grounded so that you don't do too much or go overboard with everything that you feel that you're responsible to do.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And you put deadlines on it. So like if I know financial aid is due on this day, okay, by this day, you need to have this done. So for me, everything is check and balance, writing stuff down. I just cannot go off the top of my head or I would lose it. Then I really be having an anxiety attack.
Right. Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. It's checks and balances and it's checklists and realizing when you just need to stop. Right. and chill and not
And
take
that's it.
on too much, because it can overwhelm and overpower you, and then you can't get anything done.
And
I
just like God made Sunday your rest day, child, find your rest day. I don't care if it's on a
right.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but somewhere in there, don't do nothing. Tell your kids, hello, I do not come and knock on my door. It's food in the refrigerator. Y'all know how to feed yourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so do you still sing with the choir, the Chicago Mass? Because you are one of the members. Are you still a part of that choir, the Chicago Mass?
I
Stellar
am not.
award-winning choir.
No, I am not. And I love Chicago Mass. Dr. Ferranda Williamson is the part of the organization. She's the leader of the organization. But no, I'm not. I think I retired from that in 2019 because at that time I started being more involved in my kids' lives. So I became very, very busy.
Yes.
But yeah, that's still my favorite choir.
Yes, I have to commend you on that. So you're a member of a Stellar Award winning choir, Chicago Mass. Yeah, celebrity in the house, y'all.
Well, girl, I don't know about that, but
right. I mean, that's amazing. And you may not know this, but I saw you guys when you sang in Chicago a few years ago. I think you were at it was something going on, and you guys were there downtown. I don't want to say
oh, was it the Gospel Fest?
It was the Gospel Fest.
Okay.
A few years back, and Chicago Mass is the truth.
They are.
Oh, yeah, so I knew you sang with them. I saw you because your sister, she hooked us to all of that, so
because we used to have annual concerts, pre-pandemic, but
pre-pandemic, exactly. And Chicago Mass Choir is the truth, and they are a Stellar Award-winning choir. It's
they are.
Yeah. I had to throw that in there. I knew that about you. Thank you for letting me know about that. But I knew, but I kind of forgot about it. I'm like, that's right. She can sing. Okay. Okay. What would you say, or who or what is your biggest influence?
My biggest influence, oh gosh, wow. Many years ago, I think I could have answered that because they were. You know what? I look, and believe it or not, it's nobody that's really like in my friend circle. I have like a lot of celebrities that I look up and I admire. Just the different things that they do. I aspire to be just a businesswoman. I aspire to be influential. I aspire to inspire other women. I want to be on that platform as other influential ladies. So I don't have a particular person that's influential to me, but those who are doing something, I do kind of like, hey, I like what she's doing. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
I like what you're doing. You're inspiring.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Yes.
If you could go back to a certain point in time in your past life as a teen or young adult or even a child, what would you tell that person? Who would you want to go back and speak to? That young adult, that teen, or that child? And what would you say?
If I had the opportunity to speak to someone again, it would be my mother.
Oh, be your mom.
It would be my mom. And I would say, because when I was growing up, we didn't often use the word, I love you. And I wish that I could go back and just say that a little bit more.
Yeah. I get that because a lot of families are like that. Even in my family, my mom, my siblings and I had to really kind of like teach my mom how to say that and how to do that, because my sister-in-law was very lovey-dovey and she was just all of that, and my mother was not. And I think my sister-in-law influenced me and my mom to kind of like open up more and to hug more and say, I love you. And so I'm happy that we started to do that, because a lot of families just, you show it in other ways. But just to simply say, hey, Mom, I love you. Can I just give you a hug? That means so much.
It was more so like we did acts of services. We would do things for one another to show that we love them. But I wish that I could have the opportunity just to hug her more, hold her more, and just conversate more with her. I wish I could do that.
Exactly. I can see that. I can see that. And right now, I know you're doing your Ph.D. What do you see yourself doing, say, 5 years from now? What would you like to be doing?
5 years from now. So, I started my organization, Destiny Alliance Services. And so I want to be able to do that sometime full time where I'm able to just go around and travel and do speaking engagements and inspiring women, inspiring teens, just to motivate them and let them know that they're beautiful, that they're queens, that they can do anything that they put their hearts to. I would
Yes.
love to do that full time.
Oh, amazing. That sounds
Yeah.
like something I would like to do. That sounds like me a little bit.
Hey, we need to join up and do this
Yeah,
together.
we need to. Yeah, okay, I see it happening. I see it. We even spoke about that a little bit, but we're not going to spill the beans. We're not going to
Nope.
talk about that too much
Nope.
yet. We're going to
Nope.
wait. We're going to wait and let it happen when it happens.
In
But
due
y'all might
season.
be on down the pipeline, guys. Stay tuned. You never know. You never know. Okay. We're getting down to the segment of the show where I refer to as backward. And this is when I offer my guests an opportunity to speak to my listeners and to offer words of encouragement or inspiration, which you've already done. But to those budding artists or those who would like to go into the field of therapy, what advice would you give to them?
I just want to encourage anyone that's listening, whether you're a female, whether you're a male, God gave us all given talents. God gave us a vision. God gave us a dream. If it's something that's tugging at you, that's God talking to you. If it's something that you've been thinking about for quite some time, whether it's to go back to school, whether it's to start your own business, whether it's to write a book, there's no time like now. Whether you finish it or not, just start it. Because at least if you started, now you have a goal. Now you can get that out there and just keep working on it. But I just say, whatever it is that you're feeling, don't look at your age. Don't look at how much time has passed. Just know that if it's in your heart and it continues to tug at you, go do it. And don't worry about how you're going to do it. Don't worry about where the resources are going to come from. The Bible says, just have faith. Just believe that it's going to happen and speak those things as though they are. And the more you start doing that, believe me, God is going to start opening up doors. God is going to start opening opportunities. I'm here right now on Miss Johnson's podcast. This is something that I have been trying to do since April and could never get into doing a podcast. But look at God. It's a divine connection and in due season. So I just encourage you out there, whatever it is, don't give up. Because the moment you give up, that's when your breakthrough is about to come through.
Right.
Yep.
Girl, you had a word right there. You had a word. All I can say is amen and amen.
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
Felicia, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on They Made It Happen today. And thank you so much for all your words of encouragement and taking the time to just really sit down and just have a conversation with me.
I appreciate you so much. You don't know how much this has been to me. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you.
You're quite welcome. And I wish you all the best.
Likewise.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay.